The first thing we want to start doing with narcissists to disempower them is to set boundaries with them. All right? Here are 5 ways that you can do that, like that. The first strategy I'm going to give you, you might be familiar with if you're already a subscriber. By the way, if you aren't, make sure to subscribe. And it's the hamburger.
Where's the beef?
The hamburger generally goes like this. When you, I feel, because. In this particular case, since you're dealing with a narcissist, I recommend something like this. John, when you keep interrupting me after we've already talked about this and you've agreed not to, it concerns me because it appears as though you don't know that you're engaging in this behavior. Do you? See what I'm saying? Now that brings me to strategy number 2, tag questions. Remember that a tag question is a simple yes or no question that you put at the end of a statement to elicit a yes or no answer.
Wouldn't you agree?
When you can use tag questions correctly, it has great power.
Don't you think?
Because you can force people to either admit to their unwanted behavior that they've agreed not to engage in, or they're going to have to admit that they are unable to control themselves in their unwanted behavior. For example, John, when you say things as you just did, it insults everybody here and their intelligence. You do know you're doing that, don't you? You do understand that this is exactly what we were talking about and exactly what you agreed not to do anymore, right? When you do things like that, people will either have to admit, yes, I'm breaking the rules of engagement that we've agreed to, or, no, I'm not even aware that I'm doing this. I must be out of my mind. Neither one of those things is really going to work for them, but may work for you and get them to diminish the amount of that behavior that they engage in front of you because you call them on it. Number 3, a simple boundary statement works wonders when you deliver them consistently. Remember that it is up to us to tell other people what our boundaries are. Many times we want people to use the powers of ESP to read our minds and then behave the way we expect them or want them to behave, or we believe that they should know the correct rules of engagement or the proper protocol for this arena because we do. But remember, it is up to us to spell out clearly what our rules of engagement are so that other people can either follow those rules or knowingly break those rules and then deal with the consequences. So to set a boundary, this is what we should be doing in the early stages of dealing with a narcissist at work. Setting boundaries sounds like this. First, you're going to tell them what they will get by respecting the boundary, and then you're going to tell them what the boundary is that they have just crossed, like this. John, I do want to hear everything that you have to say, but not if you're not going to allow me to speak without interrupting me. Now that's reasonable, isn't it? Reasonable is a great phrase to use with narcissists. You may want to sometimes say, do you believe that's reasonable? But it's much more effective in getting them to agree if you say, now that's reasonable, isn't it? Because it's easier for them to simply say, yeah, whatever. And once they have agreed to it, whether they really believed it was reasonable or not, once someone agrees to it, the odds of them actually respecting that boundary have increased. Now that brings us to number 4. Before we move along to number 4, if you could share your comments and your stories, or at least just tell me which of those top 10 you've dealt with the most, that would really help me and a lot of people out. Number 4, a bottom line statement. A bottom line statement is when you tell people the bottom line of what they're doing that is crossing a boundary with you. They tend to begin with, I don't allow. When you have the right lead-in line, it's much easier to finish those sentences when you have the beginning. For example, I don't allow that type of language, either at work or at home. I don't allow that type of ageist language. I don't allow that type of aggressive talk. I don't allow that type of rude behavior. I don't allow that type of insulting language. I don't allow that type of whatever it may be. When you don't allow it, you don't allow it. And you have to let people know, hey, that's not kosher. I don't allow that. Use the phrase, I don't allow, and you can get it out of your mouth much more easily. But remember, you can't expect people to follow the rules that you have not yet told them. Maybe they're used to working and living in a place where everybody's racist, everybody's ageist, everybody's misogynistic. You never know. And maybe they don't even know what a world without that would be like. Show them. Give them that gift of letting them know what the rules are. That brings us to number 5. Let's finish this up with an empowering statement. An empowering statement, remember, is great to use with a narcissist because they have control issues. If you have control issues, you better get over those control issues before you get to the next level when dealing with narcissists, because that's something you have to leave at the door. If you have control issues, if you must be in charge, if you must win when it comes to the narcissist,
you never can win.
They never will respect you. They never will think that you're at the same level as they are. Ever. So you have to let that go. You want to at least create the illusion that they can choose, and an empowering statement does just that. It would sound something like this. John, you just used another racial slur, and I've already explained to you how I do not engage with people who do that. So, would you like to continue this conversation without making any more racial slurs? Or do you think you might need a few minutes to collect your thoughts and kind of regroup, and then we can come back and finish this conversation? What would you prefer? I want to let you know this is not going to continue. So which one do you think works best for you? Do you want to continue later on, or do you want to continue now? I'm giving you the choice, but either way, I'm instructing how this relationship is going. And I don't want to be the one who's always telling you what to do, but when you have evidently lost your way and you can't remember what the basic rules of engagement are when dealing with me or other professionals, it is up to me to remind you of that. And the best way to do that is not by saying the first thing that comes into mind and the first thing that then comes out of my mouth, but to use proven strategies such as the ones we just described. Tag questions, boundary statements, bottom line statements, empowering statements, and hamburgers. Those are all wonderful tools that you can use if you practice them in advance, because remember, when you need these types of things the most is exactly when they tend to slip your mind. That's why you need the right tools to practice them. For more tools like this, sign up for my new course, Office Energy Vampire Slaying 101. If you got some value out of this video, make sure to support this channel by subscribing to it. And if you wanted to take it one step further, join us on our Patreon page. That's a great way to support this channel and keep these types of things coming. I would appreciate that support, so I hope to see you either in our Patreon group or as a member here on YouTube. And if you want more things like this, check out this next video.